The Monday, December 11, 2023, regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Item 2 and 3, Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and Mr. Path will read the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Texas Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Path. Sorry about that.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, as always, we're thankful for every blessing that you give us. And Father, we pray especially tonight for our council members as they have a long agenda and many issues to discuss and make decisions on. We pray that you'd guide and direct them in each and every one, because sometimes the small decisions, Father, make a big difference down the road. So we pray that you would give them wisdom, Father, to do their job tonight. We pray for our country, our state, our city, that your blessings might be upon us. For I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 4, the person desiring to address the council meeting, limit their presentation to more than 2 minutes unless an item is posted on the agenda. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals are not appropriate for the citizens forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. If there is anyone here that wishes to speak about a zoning case or the agenda, please wait until that specific item is called, and you may speak when I open the public hearing for that item. The public forum is now open. If there's anyone who wishes to address the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Alvin Atwood, 2419 Bonham Street. I've been coming into these meetings since April of this year, talking about the unaffordability of everything that has taken place. I just got my water bill in for 480 gallons worth of water. I used $153, $54. My neighbors doesn't shower full shower, and they don't wash clothes at home because of policies enacted by this city. Right now I have 82 signatures of people that agree with me, and that number is growing, and that was just started Saturday morning. I don't know how else to say it. I've been saying it since April. When my water, I'm using 480 gallons worth of water, there's no way I should receive a $154 bill. There's no excuse that can be made for when your citizens are limiting the water that they're using in the shower and scared to wash their clothes in their own home because they're scared of what their bill's going to be. We could move money, a lot of money. I know the state of Texas is giving something instead of putting brand new paint jobs on stuff, man. We should have moved it over there. Y'all, we have forgotten about the working citizen. The working class, the people that work in fast food, our construction workers, nurses, students, those people are having a hard time as it stands from the policies from our federal government, and now our local government has created policies that have hindered your citizens. You are failing them. There's not 5,000 rich people, there's 20+ thousand, 25+ thousand citizens. You're here to represent every one of them, from the poor to the rich. Please remember the working class. We're struggling out here, and your $154 water bill for 480 gallons is just ridiculous. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
My name is Carolyn Williams. My address is 5044th Street, Southwest. And I want to talk a little bit about the taxes. I don't know how they determine how much taxes do you pay on your house? I moved into a neighborhood, all the houses over there just basically went up to like $200,000. I didn't pay that much for mine, but I went to the place on Bonham to reject that, and they said just because you moved into a neighborhood and everybody paying $200,000 for a house, that's how much taxes you're gonna have to pay. I said, okay. I didn't like that idea. I don't like that idea. And then I have another property. I've been owning this property since 1999. And this is the second year that I have gotten a paper to fill out every year now. And it tells me if you own more than one property, you do not receive a form, make copies, and return it in. Okay, on it, they want to know how many bedrooms, what's the expense, who's managing it, how many square feet, how much they pay a month, and other kind of tax stuff they put in there. I really don't feel like that should be, I'm paying taxes. I don't really feel like it should be any of their business. Okay, then it's not nothing but that, my place and another lady's place. All the rest of that is vacant lot around me. Oh, about 3 years ago, that house next to mine sold for $53,000. Okay, now that the lady passed and she's gone, I'm trying to make it short, she's gone, the house sold for $162,000. So that makes my place go up. I don't feel like that's right. And I would like to know, what is this for? And how do we determine how much taxes we pay? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Harris, could you assist the mic?
The mic. Oh, I'm fine, trust me, I'll speak loud enough. So, it's a
Try to
pleasure.
get it as close as possible for you.
Well, thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Harley. I'm at 2213 Hubbard Street. I just moved here at the beginning of September, and I love Paris, but there are also some great issues. I am seeing a great lack of accessibility, and not just for myself, but I think of the other Paris community members that might use walkers and wheelchairs and strollers. The sidewalks, lack of sidewalks, the deterioration of sidewalks. There needs to be a better accessibility for the people of Paris. I've been doing accessibility advocacy for 29 years because that's how long I've been in a wheelchair. I would love to volunteer my services to help Paris become the town where Texans can reach higher, like your motto says. I would love for people to believe that they can come to Paris to visit, to see the place and see what it's about during the summer. So you're saying, yes, we welcome visitors. We welcome our community to come out and do things and be a part of things. And in order to do so, here are the accessible sidewalks so you can actually access your grocery store. Since being here, I have lost over 90% of my independence. I used to be able to take my dog on a 3-mile walk. Here, I can't even go for one because there's no sidewalks, or the sidewalks are so badly deteriorated, I'm not able to use my wheelchair safely. There are a lack of sidewalks. They're on Collegiate. So I cross the crosswalk because that's what you're to do. And then all of a sudden I'm stuck because there's no sidewalk from that signal. So on Collegiate and Lamar, which is very busy, I had to take my service dog into traffic just to get to a safe driveway so I can get and find a new route. I would love, like I said, I would love to volunteer my services, my expertise. I even have a copy of the ADAG, which is the Americans with Disabilities Accessibility Guidelines. I would love to use my knowledge to work with you so we can bring Paris into the 2020s and beyond. Let's show that we care about our community. Let's show that we want people to come here and that they can go anywhere they want with their families, whether their families use strollers, walkers, canes, whatever it is, they can get to the grocery store, they can get to the shops, they can get back to their motels or B&Bs. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else? Okay, the citizens' forum is now closed. Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of council, which such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All in favor? Okay, all opposed, say no. Okay. Regular agenda, item number 17, discuss and conduct a public hearing, act on an ordinance recording the petition of John Mark Spencer for a zoning change from an agricultural district A to a commercial district C in the city of Paris, block 306-C, lot 1, LCAT 50105, located at 4010 North Main Street. Staff, you have a presentation?
Duke McGee, building official for the staff. The applicant is requesting a zoning change from agriculture to commercial. P&Z and staff recommend approval of this zoning change.
Okay. I will open up the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak on this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Okay, I will now close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? I will hear a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 18, discuss and conduct a public hearing and act on the ordinance regarding the petition of Adam Bolton on behalf of Gary Book for a comprehensive plan amendment from split-use retail R, low-density residential LDR, to a high-density residential HDR in the city of Paris, block 199, lot S, PT of 2, LCAT 17210, located at 1610 Bottom Street. Staff?
Yes, the applicant is seeking this minor amendment to the comprehensive plan. Also on this agenda is a zoning change request and a preliminary and final plat. The Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendment from a split-use retail and low-density residential to high-density residential. Do we have any questions?
I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak upon this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any discussion? I hear a motion.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 19, discuss and conduct a public hearing and act on the ordinance regarding the petition of Adam Bolton on behalf of Gary Cook for a zoning change from a two-family dwelling district 2F to a multifamily dwelling district number 1, MF-1 in the city of Paris, block 199, lot S, PT of 2, LCAT 17210, located at 1610 Bottom Street. Staff?
This goes along with the preceding item number 18. This is the zoning change for that. The applicant is requesting zoning change from 2F to an MF1. Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval.
Okay, I will open up the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any discussion? Will I hear a motion?
So moved.
All in, second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 20, discuss and conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Clint Cheatwood for a text amendment on Exhibit 9B, zoning ordinance 8-501, home occupations to add 1J Carteret to provide regulations and related thereto. Staff.
As the applicant approached the city and the Lamar County Health District regarding the use of an accessory building in his rear yard for commercial catering kitchen, the Planning and Zoning instructed city staff in October meeting to pursue a formal text amendment to Section 8501, home occupation of the zoning ordinance and the catering as a permitted use. Planning and Zoning and city staff recommend approval of that addition to our ordinance.
Okay, I will open up the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. If there's any discussion, can I hear a motion?
I move to approve item 20 as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item 21, discuss and conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris, Texas to update the subdivision regulations, specifically to amend Exhibit 9A subdivisions ordinance for preliminary, final plating, and general requirements thoroughfare plan. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council. Recently, the Texas House has approved a House Bill 3699 pertaining to municipal regulations regarding preliminary and final plating. Starting in November, we've started to make some incremental changes to the subdivision ordinance to reflect these changes. And along with the city attorney's office, the city engineer's office is working on a comprehensive update to match and make sure that nothing in our ordinance goes against the new state rules. We're requiring some more time than anticipated for this and would like to open public hearing and keep it open until the February 12th, 2024 council meeting.
Okay. At the P&Z meeting of December 5th, this item was continued to the P&Z February 5th, 2024 meeting. I will open up the public hearing tonight and continue to the February 12th City Council meeting of 2024. Okay. Item number 22, receiver presentation regarding a summary report on the 5 West Paris Town Hall meetings. Mr. Path.
Mayor, members of council, tonight this is a presentation to give you our summary analysis after having done 5 town halls in West Paris. Just as a reminder, and for those who haven't seen, we do have social media out there. We are planning a 6th town hall this Thursday. It'll be at City Square at 5:30, and it's meant to be, again, a summary analysis, so kind of a repeat of this tonight. And I'll be having a slideshow with that to kind of present to the citizens what we learned. And so, but tonight the city council has my report. I'll just kind of walk through it. I won't obviously read it word for word, but I'll kind of highlight key parts and of course answer any questions you have about this tonight. But in short, as you remember, back on August 14th, Mayor Hughes presented to the council. We would be having 5 town halls. The idea being is over the last couple of years, particularly the last few months, members of council have heard from citizens the concept that people in West Paris have been quote unquote left behind as compared to other parts of town. So with this, we wanted to hear directly from them. What does that mean? So we can actually understand the issues. We need to know what that concept left behind means. And so we had 5 town halls. You see on the memo there, we tried to have 3 at night, 1 during the day and 1 in the morning. We tried to accommodate different schedules so that different individuals can all come to this. The goal of this was to listen. We wanted to hear from the citizens about what the issues were directly. And so we had those 5 town halls. They were very well attended. We're very pleased with that, very pleased with the turnout. We had over 53 individuals speak and/or submit a survey at the town halls. So that was very welcome there. You can see the list in the report here of all of the city officials who attended. And I'd like to thank the council and staff for taking time to do this. It's very important for our citizens to see the members there whenever possible. So that was very good. Also, too, as an additional point, in addition to the comments that we received, a lot of the comments we received were vague, and so we attempted to do some home visits. That wasn't announced. We were just trying to just meet people at home, if possible, if they're available, just to sit down one-on-one and talk about the issues. Again, town halls, they didn't really afford an opportunity to actually sit there and discuss. That was listening. So I think most all of you took part in that, and again, thank you for doing that. We ended up, although we tried to meet more people, we only ended up meeting with 17. A lot of people weren't home, or they didn't call back, but we ended up with 17 individuals from the town hall that we had a chance to follow up with, and that was very, very well received, I felt. I know for those who took part in that, I feel the citizens were very pleased and very, very proud to see their council member and their city manager in their living room and talking about the issue. So that was fun to do. In addition, so while we were in the town halls, we as staff and council, we didn't want to wait until the very end before we start doing things. If we heard of something in the process that we thought we can get after, we wanted to get after it. And so after town hall number 1 at Justice, I sat down with all the comments, and I started assigning tasks to staff, from Michael to Randy to Richard to Robert Talley to everyone. So we started dividing up the things that we could do. There were some things that we have, as you see in the report, we had to wait until later to talk about, but those that we could, like animals at large, or tall grass, or a dilapidated structure, or a streetlight out, things that we can actually get after, we started after. So we started to try to get things done right away that people were reporting to us. That did require a diversion of resources. We have focused a little more attention over there. That's not really sustainable long term. But again, this has been a focus, and so we wanted to just focus heavily on those topics since it is a current issue. You'll see in my report here the summary analysis. We had about 279 different comments from individuals, and so we were taking notes. I'd like to thank Janice and everyone else who took notes during those town halls. We compiled those notes. You'll see in your report there, pages 8 through 12 is a compilation of all those comments. I then categorized those in about 29 different topics. I could have easily made 50, but there comes a point to where a sliver of pie is too small. So I tried to group things to give us some better analysis to work off. And you see on page 4 of your report that this is the breakdown of all the topics in 29 different topics. And then for everyone else here, this is going to be online through the website. And so we're going to have this posted online, and we'll be encouraging people to visit this online and to read through this as well. Looking at all the topics, the three biggest concerns that were raised were tall grass, drainage, and dilapidated structures. Those are the 3 biggest ones. Some notable second places in this were streets, tree limbs, utility rates, sidewalks, street lights, and trash pickup. And then there's a whole host of other items that were 1 or 2 mentioned there. Again, we had over 279 different comments. There was probably more, but we were writing as fast as we could. So if we missed one, we apologize. And so now getting to analyzing this, when we sit down and actually analyze what these issues are, we realize that these are not, while there are some, you look at the whole list, there are some that we can check off, solved, done. The majority, particularly these top 3, tall grass, drainage, and dilapidated structures, they're not ones that we can easily solve. Some of them, just by the nature, grass keeps growing. Some of them are the ones that we fight every single year over and over and over again. As houses age, as drainage erodes, or as it grows up, these are things that cities, not just us, but cities battle every year through their budgets. Again, streets decay, tree limbs grow. These are all things that we can work on and address, but again, it takes resources, it takes a focus, it may take change of policy. It may take us to relook our budget and move funds from one thing to another. And so there are things we can do, but again, there's pros and cons to all those movements there. But again, most of these things are not things that we can necessarily prevent either. With Texas law, with things like that, there's a lot of these things are not things that I can stop. I can't keep grass from getting past 12 inches all across town. I can't keep a person from letting their house fall into disrepair. I know people think I should be able to, but this is Texas. We believe in property rights. And so there are some limits as to what I can do. Now, this isn't to say that there isn't some clever law we're not aware of, and so we're always open to any change of legislation, any new ideas and policy. We're always open to things. But again, we have to balance it. We have to measure it against the rule of law, whether something can and cannot be done. So moving on with that, and again, now there were some issues brought up that we simply cannot address. Some examples that I put in my report here is the topic of homeless and squatters. That's a very challenging topic for us to address. I'm not saying that our hands are completely tied on that, but again, with our resources, while like a Dallas and a Fort Worth has departments towards that, we're not budgeting to do that, and so there are some limitations that we have on that. The utility rates, unfortunately, that is an area that we are building a new wastewater treatment plant. We'll learn about that in the next item here. That thing is very expensive. If we had done it 20 years ago, it wouldn't have cost this much. But we're doing it now so we can continue to have sewer in our community. Sidewalks and drainage. I know that was talked about a little earlier tonight. These are things that we can do, but it all costs lots of money. And so we saw just recently, earlier this year, with Todd Mitke was looking at tributary 4 and 6 for drainage. We saw that's easily $3-4 million just to try to solve that issue. And that's just 2 tributaries. We have more in town. So these are things that we can do, but it requires lots of money. And so again, that's policy, focus, raising of resources, taxation, or cutting of services to free up money. There's things we can do, but there comes with cons to that. So again, while some of these things we cannot do, some things we can do, but they're rather expensive or complicated to get done. Now, also, there are some things in the list that we're also, like I said, staff are busy going out into the field, looking, trying to address issues. But again, given the way the town halls are, we can't sit there and inquire every specific detail. So we're also looking at things that we can do. Like, for instance, we've had a few drainage issues that end up being on private property. We don't touch private property. That's not legal. And so those things, staff are going out there, finding out, okay, public yes, private no. So we're kind of working our way through those things. Nevertheless, as you look at this, I get to my recommendations here to kind of bring this thing to an end and to answer questions. Again, a lot of the topics we have here are things that we're already budgeting for, things that we do year after year after year, patching streets, mowing tall grass, dilapidated structures, and so forth. So my recommendations are, first off, where specific issues were raised, like example, a street light. We keep working those to try to address it. So the whole 279 list that we have there, keep working those until we've accomplished all that we can accomplish on that list. So keep working on those. And I've already assigned to staff every one of those items. And so if you were to look at my master spreadsheet in my office, you would see a name next to all 279 items. And so I've signed those that I can, and we're working on those. Again, some we will do, some we will find we can't do, for whether it's cost or it's on private property and so forth. Secondly, in my report earlier, I didn't mention tonight, but in my report I talked about the housing study. One of the goals of the housing study is to gain ideas on policy changes, on ordinance changes, things that we might do differently in Paris that others may be doing that we don't know about, that may have a rehabilitating effect on West Paris and all of Paris. So that's one thing. So I recommend we continue with that process. We're about 2 months into that, with about another 10 months to go. So I'm hopeful that when the housing study is done, we will have some good recommendations that we might be able to implement to help impact West and all of Paris in a positive way. 3, I think we continue to incrementally increase the budgets of public works and code enforcement. Again, the top 3 issues were tall grass, dilapidated structures, and drainage. Those are areas that we spend a lot of money on every year in code enforcement and public works, and I think we have to continue to increase that budget. It's a growing issue. As our town continues to age, we're going to have to keep up trying to put more money towards that. We have been doing that the last 3 or 4 years since I've been here. We have been adding to those budgets, but again, there's obviously a need for more. So we'll be talking about that in our next budget cycle. So that's one recommendation. I think we should also create an online portal. One of the concerns that was brought up was citizens were saying that I reach out to the city and then I never get feedback back. First off, I'd like to encourage everyone that if you ever run into a situation where you're trying to talk to a city employee and you're not getting response back, please reach out to a council member, reach out to a supervisor, and ultimately reach out to my office. We want to give you a response. We may not give you the response you want to hear, but we want to at least give you a response. I don't want anyone to ever not receive a response who's asked for one. So one thing to do that, we're looking at using our MyGov 5 software. It has a feature that we can make available to the citizens to where you can report an issue online and it tracks it. There's accountability with that where I can see it, Rob, Doug, other staff can see it, and so we can see Citizen Tom submitted an issue about a pothole in the corner of Bonham and 24th. That got assigned to Mike Wade. We can see Mike Wade can respond, I got it done or I didn't get it done, and we can then follow up, or Robert Talley or anyone else we have. So that creates accountability. So that's one thing I'd like for us to look at, trying to work into our system, is giving everyone that avenue to where they can submit an issue and see it tracked through the system. I've seen some other towns that have that. It's very cool, and so I like for us to look at doing that. And lastly, again, back to the communication. If anyone ever experienced issues with communicating with staff, please don't stop there. Contact supervisors, contact council members, and ultimately contact my office. And again, like I said just a few minutes ago, we don't want anyone to never not get a response when they ask for a response. Again, you may not get the response you want to hear, but you at least want to make sure you get the response you get a response. And so that's it very shortly. It was a very good process, I believe. I think talking to council members, I believe it was well received. I think members of the community enjoyed an opportunity to talk face to face with their representatives. So this is a very much a well worth effort, and so I'm proud that we did that. And again, we're not done. We're still working through items on that list. We've got a lot done. I'd like to just brag on a couple of things. Police Department, Assistant Chief Tuttle assigned one of our officers to systematically look at every streetlight in town over a course of a month. Excuse me. He identified over 117 burned out lights, 57 of them in West Paris. And so we've reported all of those to Encore. And so I'm very proud of that. We've had a number of houses that we've torn down. This has been a lot of things that we can brag about that we've been working on, and we're really appreciative of citizens bringing them to our attention. So again, I'd like to just remind everyone to please be our eyes and ears. I know staff are out and about, but a lot of times, if you understand the role that staff play, we're very reactionary. We spend a lot of our time chasing complaints, and so we get a complaint, we head to the complaint. And we may pass by issues, and so please help us out. And so we don't want to miss things, but at the same time, we want to keep getting priorities done. So a lot of words there. I hope I made sense. I'll answer any questions the council has.
Questions? Comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 23, receive a presentation from Garvey Engineering regarding the status of wastewater treatment plant project.
Mayor and Council, we are well into construction for Phase 1 of the wastewater treatment plant project. So I would like to welcome back Lance Clement with Garver to kind of give us a summary of what got us here, where we're at, and where we're going forward. And that's going to include information for Phase 2 of this very important project. And as well as Lance, I would like to welcome Alfredo Solano, Jim Snowden. They are with Thale, our general contractor for the project, And I would also like to welcome Austin Visconti. He is the resident observer inspector for the project as well. So without any further delay, Lance, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to come back before you and talk about this very critical project for the city. So first, we'll go through a recap of the project background. The plant site has been in operation for over 80 years. Now, you may remember a portion of this presentation from when we first started talking about the need for the project. This goes all the way back to 1936, whenever the plant was first constructed and expanded again in 1944. But an important thing to point out there is how the plant has been in operation for so long with very little improvement over time. So it's a large capital expenditure from back in 1936 that Grayson had alluded to earlier really hasn't seen a lot of reinvestment back. And as a result, the existing wastewater treatment plant uses outdated and inefficient equipment. And kudos to the city and to your leadership for moving forward with the project to address this. There were multiple areas of the facility that were unsafe for operations and maintenance staff. This was evident as we went through the engineering for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. We witnessed multiple areas that we knew were on the critical brink of failure or safety issues. And so we knew that that was driving the importance of both of these phases of the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant also receives significant I&I during wet weather events. So I'll talk about Phase 2, and a big portion of the Phase 2 work is the influent pipeline. Right now, that influent pipeline is old and deteriorated, and even though you have peak flow equalization upstream of that line during storm events, you still see storm surges at your plant up to twice the flow that the plant would normally see. And so that comes with a significant cost for both cost of treatment, but also the time of your operators in trying to adapt and address these emergency scenarios. Regulations for the treated wastewater have changed over time, which reduce the effectiveness of the existing plant. So not only is the plant old and at the end of its useful life, but also the regulations have increased as time has gone along. So the plant's effective capacity was limited with those increased regulations, therefore the need for both phases of this project. And the plant has also received consistent discharge violations. So if y'all remember back prior to even Phase 1 of this project, we all agreed that it was to the point for the discharge violations where if the city did not take the action and move forward with the project, that we would see TCEQ and ultimately the EPA become more involved, which was a serious concern. But it really underscored the need to move forward with both phases of this project. And also, before we jump into the descriptions on Phase 1, did want to point out one more time, the city staff and operators should be commended for the level of compliance that has been achieved at this aging facility. So this isn't all bad news. The great shining example that the treatment plant operators are and the city staff in keeping that operating and running through the best of compliance that they're able to with the existing equipment. All right, so progress to date. As I've alluded to, we agreed on a two-phase construction plan to improve the plant. We broke it into two phases for two reasons. One, because the progress of construction. We knew that there were certain areas within that plant that the contractor would have to construct first before they could then turn around with the available footprint on site and construct the second phase. It also came from a cash flow perspective. So we've been working with your staff in great detail to identify the most optimal cash flow scenario to construct these improvements and still maintain affordability within the city. This ultimately was the best approach for the city. Phase 1 is in construction and Phase 2 is ready for bidding. So we started Phase 1 construction back in January of 2023. We're currently on track for a substantial completion at the end of 2024. So we've got about a year left of construction. And Phase 2, which I'll touch on at the end of this presentation, we've just completed 100% design. We've submitted it to the state for approval, and now we are targeting currently the Q1 of 2024, so coming up in January through March, advertising that with an anticipated target bid award in late spring, early summer 2024. All right, Phase 1 construction progress. Here you can see, just to refresh you with the previous site before we began improvements. Here's our 3D rendering of what the project would look like after the improvements are complete. Here, I'll take you through each of the major processes at the plant, what it looked like from our 3D model, where we're currently at in construction. So this is the exciting part. Here are the primary clarifiers. You can see we've now begun excavation at the primary clarifier site to then build those concrete structures down in the ground. And in the background, you can see that orbital basin. That will eventually go away, and we'll construct within that footprint for the new improvements. Here's the 3D rendering of the aeration basins, and this is what the basins currently look like today. We actually have more pours scheduled. I say we, that's actually Thale Construction, who has been excellent to work with on this project. So we've been really impressed with the quality of work that we're seeing, but also the teamwork from the entire construction team, the city staff. We see a very much how can we save the city money as we construct these improvements, but still end up with a quality plant at the end of the day. So we've been very impressed with that progress to date. Our final clarifiers, you can see we're building the fourth set to rehab the existing clarifiers once that construction is complete. Now I'll hop over to our phase 2 facilities. One of the primary components that I touched on is the influent force main. So currently it's a mix of pressure pipe and gravity pipe. This proposed phase 2 would convert all of that to pressure pipe. Here's the existing FEB pump station site. We've got several improvements that are planned for that location, including a new headworks and new lift station. Here's the new influent pump station that would convert that existing influent pipeline to all force main, which would remove the anticipated stormwater I&I that the plant is currently seeing during those storm events. We also have headworks planned for phase 2. This is very critical to remove solids before they even get to the plant. So this investment that you're putting into the plant with phase 1 would be protected by this component of phase 2 to prevent any sand, any large gravel, any large solids from hurting those processes downstream. We also have sludge dewatering, so this would provide the needed capacity for the plant staff to be able to not only digest but also store solids until weather conditions or hauling operations are able to remove that solids from on site. And we're also adding capacity at the belt press facility. Lastly, an administration building. This would also house a lab for the plant staff to be able to conduct all their required testing by TCEQ there at this new main building. All right, looking forward. So as I mentioned, we're targeting December 2024 for phase 1 to be substantially complete, which means the entire plant is up and operating as it was intended in design, with final punch list items going through March of 2025. And then phase 2, like I previously alluded to, we're targeting January 2024 to go to bid, also for construction services, which we're currently doing on phase 1. That includes construction observation, administration, and executing the project. And then lastly, targeting December 2025 for final completion of that phase 2. So this should dovetail nicely from the phase 1 construction progress and leave you with an overall complete project by the end of 2025. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for the time.
So again, council, here's your opportunity. You have the contractor on site, so if you should have any questions, by all means, please ask.
Absolutely.
The only thing I will add to Lance's presentation, a few months back, I had brought to your attention the potential need for additional property for phase 2.
Okay.
I'm happy to report to all of you that that's no longer on the table. The design team was able to come back in, and we're going to build everything in the existing footprint. So,
Okay, great.
no questions?
No questions. Right.
Some additional information, just to speak of next steps. We'll be working with our financial advisor and rate consultant engineer to start planning out phase 2 bonding. They'll be coming up here in the next couple months. Our plan is to bring back to you those documents in January, February, March. I'm not exactly sure just yet. We're sort of working those details out. And so, and then also too, just to remind everyone that some recent successes. We have been working to try to alleviate the pressure on ratepayers. We just successfully refunded and restructured a bond. We had a 2013 GEO bond that we refunded and restructured, which saved an annual $1.4 million. Again, annually 1.4 each year. That's existing revenue being received that we can now divert to the next phase. And so instead of asking for a new 1.4, we freed up an existing 1.4 every year on that. And our budget this year, we also moved some funds around between general. We restructured our GEO bonds and utility bonds to move 1.5 million of utility revenue over to the GEO side because we had some retiring debt. So again, that freed up another 1.5 of existing revenue. Again, revenue we're currently receiving that can also be applied towards the next bond. So that's 2.9 million right there. That every year 2.9. That we have freed up going forward for the next phases. Now that won't cover the whole phase 2, but that's a good chunk right there. And we're also looking with our financial advisors on different types of bonds we can pursue that should save interest for us. And of course, with the phasing of the projects, that's helped us wean into this. So we have been working hard to try to find smart ways to make this happen, and financially. So. But I just want to remind that those are some big successes that we've had that we're very proud of.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 24, discuss and act on a resolution approving an amendment to a residential tax abatement agreement with We're Going to Paris LLC dated May 9th, 2022. Pursuant to the 2022 census, the subject property located within the city of Paris, Lamar County, Texas, is included within an enterprise zone, which pursuant to the Texas Enterprise Zone Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 2303, and the Redevelopment and Tax Abatement Act, Texas Tax Code Section 312.2011, also constitutes a designation of the area as a reinvestment zone. The subject property is located at 635 Northwest 7th Street, Martin Addition, Block A, Lots 1-20, LCAT number 12932, Old Westgate Apartment Complex, inside Northwest Loop 286 in the Northwest Paris. Census Block Group 482770006001032. The planned investment includes $1.8 million in real property improvements.
Well, by the time you've read all that, there's not much more for me to say.
Please, say something.
We did approve, you approved a residential tax abatement for this property that's commonly known as the Westgate Apartment Complex back in May of 2022. According to the terms of that agreement, they were to have completed the improvements by this May, within 12 months of the execution of the document. That has not happened due to some financing issues and some other considerations that the developers have run into. Back last month, council authorized me to draft an amendment to that tax abatement agreement, whereby the owner will have until May 31st of 2025 to complete the improvements, but they must secure the property or otherwise commence construction no later than February 12th of 2024. So what I've done is prepared a resolution with that amendment. The company has reviewed it and said it's fine, and we would recommend approval of the resolution.
Is there any discussion? All right, want to hear a motion?
I move to approve item 24 with a deadline for completion of May 31st, 2025.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 25, receive a presentation regarding power lines in the city of Paris.
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to John McFadden. He is our new public information officer. He's been busy working on this topic, and so John has a presentation for the council.
All right.
I've kind of, Mayor and Council, I've kind of inherited a little bit of this in regard to the utilities side of things, and specifically power lines. So I came in learning that information that had already been gathered by staff prior to my arrival. One of the tools that I'm working on implementing now is a web page to try to help our citizens to communicate easier with all the different utilities, not just our own water utilities. So with this web page, which is located at paristexas.gov/local utilities, citizens can go here to find all the contact information for the different utilities that serve our citizens. Obviously, one of the primary things we heard a lot in the town hall meetings was related to power lines and street lights. We heard that pretty often throughout all 5 meetings, so I'll jump to that portion of this web page. And just so you know, this is all one page, so it's just a matter of scrolling up and down, but at the very top, you can click one of the icons and go to the section that you're particularly looking for at that point. So if a citizen wants to report a street light outage, they have several options. They can utilize the link here to an Encore website where it's a full graphical interface. I'll just go ahead and jump over and show you. And if you then zoom in on Paris, within a couple of seconds, hopefully, they'll start populating in the different street lights that are available, and then takes you step by step through reporting the outages. So each one of these icons is a street light. The yellow are street lights, with the blue being guard lights, which the difference there is a guard light is paid for by the citizen. So it may be in their backyard, it may be on a business property or whatever, but it is maintained by Encore but paid for by the citizen. So the yellow street lights are the true street lights that we refer to, and the city covers the cost of those in an agreement with Encore. So if a citizen needed to report a particular street light, say this one on Southeast 21st, they click on it, and immediately they're given the latitude and longitude information on it, which is not really going to be relevant, obviously, to them, but it's pretty simple. They can report the different type of outage that's happening, whether it's broken glass or it's completely not working or it's going on and off repeatedly. They can add additional comments. It'll ask them for a little bit of contact information, and then they submit it, and they are given the opportunity to request a response even from Encore once the job is completed, if they decide to provide their email address or other contact information. So Encore really has a nice product there. In regard to the other utilities we have on this page, we do have our own water utilities, water sewer utilities, and because we do have a few of our citizens that are served by Lamar County Water, we did include their information, their website, their contact information for reporting even after hours and during holidays. We have our sanitation and solid waste. Obviously, that'll be changing after the first of the year. We'll update all of that information. Natural gas provider is obviously Atmos for the entire city, so all of their information is there. They have a good informational page of their website about recognizing gas leaks, so the citizens can look at that if they suspect there's a gas leak. And then they also have some offerings for text alerts for outages and tracking those outages. Encore, a lot of this information, if we haven't already met with the utilities ourselves, I found all of their information on their individual web pages and just imported it over to our website so that it's easily accessible to everybody. We do have a few primarily commercial customers of Lamar Electric within the city, so their information is included under electrical distribution. And then for both utilities, both electrical utilities, we have information about reporting fallen or sagging utility lines. The things we've heard from the different utilities we've already talked to is they don't want people to go out and try to figure out if it's an electrical line or if it's cable or if it's telephone or if it's fiber optic or whatever it is. They just want it to be reported as if it's electrical, so that they don't get near it, they don't take that risk. And so we've just shared that information over to them, report it. They can call 911 and give them the information, and then for each of the two electrical providers, Lamar Electric and Encore, their phone numbers are provided. If the citizen wants to continue past reporting it to 911, they can report it directly to those companies as well. Encore does provide a detailed power outage map. Lamar Electric does have an outage map as well, so they can track all of those things. Tree trimming is one topic that came up a lot, and so there's some information there about the preventative maintenance that the two utilities do. And so that I won't read it all to you, but essentially Encore is on a 5-year rotation for pruning their trees. Lamar Electric is on an 8-year, and to get their full service, and they cover actually all of Lamar, Red River, and half of Delta County. So they do have a pretty good sized area to try to keep up all the rural areas of tree coverage, which I'm sure is a challenge for them. But then we're not limited on internet providers to just the ones I have here, but these are generally the primary here in town with Wi-Fi's, Vive, Optimum, and AT&T. So their information is there. And again, we're back down to the street light reporting area here. And then, of course, a reminder to call 811 if you're going to dig, to try to save outages for other folks. So hopefully this will be a tool that our citizens can use, as well as we can use it internally for when we do field requests from citizens by phone or in person. It's a good good grouping of all the information to make it easily accessible. As far as maintaining this, I do have it on my calendar to review it quarterly. In addition, we do have a tool with our website that will check for dead links on our entire website. So if one of these utilities does change a link to a particular page that we have referenced, and that utility portion of our website will tell us that that link has gone dead, and we can go correct it. So are there any questions?
No, I think it's a great working tool for the citizens of Paris. And I think working with the West Side Project also allowed us to give us an opportunity to work throughout the city of Paris as a whole. So I appreciate you guys working to get this done. Is there any discussion, any questions?
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to respond back to the citizen that reports, yes, we got this, we're working on it?
If they report it to us, certainly we can, as staff, and especially once we implement the MyGov 5, that'll even be easier to track all of those things. And if one is starting even to fall through the cracks, there's supposed to be notices back to different staff levels to make sure that things are being tracked and responded to appropriately.
Any further questions? Okay, there's no action on this item.
I'd like to real quick, a little plug here. Special thanks to Mr. McFadden and the work he's doing as our new public information officer, and so doing great work. If you visit our website, we got a lot of revamps coming, and this is one of those, and social media, and so the whole role about trying to educate our citizens. This is just one thing that he's done to help give our citizens more information about services we provide. So and things in their community. So very exciting what we have in front of us. So thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 26, discuss and act on addition of bid alternate number 1 in amount of $13,500 to the Lloyd B. Neighbors demolition project for the Belford Building demolition project. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council. I come before you to ask for consideration of a change order for the Lloyd D. Neighbors contractor for removing and preserving 9 sets of chains and stars from the old awning from the Belford building. They were not included, to my error, in the previous recommendation of approval of bids. I should have caught it, but I didn't, so I would like to ask for it now as also the schedule has obviously been accelerated for the demolition, and so they have done the work already. But if this is not chosen to be approved, then that's fine. We don't get the change in stars. But regardless, they have saved them, even though the building has been largely demoed.
All right, there's any discussion? Will I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the change order.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0, sir. Thank you, sir. Item number 27, discuss and award a bid in the amount of $237,769 to One Reef LLC of Paris for services related to the asbestos abatement in the Grand Theater, and authorize the city staff to negotiate a contract.
Thank you. The Grand Theater, located at 21 Lamar Avenue, is in quite the state of disrepair, and we've prepared, the council has approved advertising of bids of projects, and we've received 6 responsive bids from contractors to abate the asbestos and biohazardous removal. Just for your information, the biohazardous removal is pigeon manure from the intrusion of pigeons, so it's nothing super, it's not like toxic waste or anything, but it just has to be considered as a biohazard once the pigeons intrude a building. And so we have received six responsive bids on November 9th. These range from approximately $237,000 to $416,000 for this asbestos and biohazard abatement. And they're also going to basically get the building ready for remodel or rehabilitation through a nonprofit group within the town. This would include scraping off asbestos from the brick and things like that, the ceilings, the bathrooms. If you remember attending in going into the bathrooms upstairs, there's tile in there, there's asbestos tile, and the glue to hold them on, things like that. So it has to be taken down to the studs, but it's going to be a great way to protect this resource in the downtown area. The downtown has been under a constant state of revitalization, and as a city resource, city-owned Grand Theater, we propose that this be accepted. Based on project experience, expertise, completing a site inspection with the properties, qualifications of the project manager, and the ability to meet specifications and the time identified to complete the work, One Reef LLC of Paris, Texas has recommended to be awarded in the project with the amount of $237,769.00. They are also the lowest responsible bidder. As a result of their asbestos abatement and interior demolition experience in urban environments, it is, as well as offering the best value of the scope of work, comes our recommendation. City staff had initially had the cost estimate of approximately $100,000 for this work, and during the evaluation of the bids, they did come in higher than expected by approximately $140,000 above that. One thing we noticed, myself and Paul Dennehy, the architect that designed this project, that the 3 lowest bids were grouped fairly close together, and then those groupings were the lowest being approximately $237,000, the next lowest being $260,000, and $297,000 above that. From consulting listed references based on the bids, it was very apparent that there's an abundance of work available to contractors right now, and in not just Northeast Texas, but all throughout Texas and the Southeast or the Southwest United States. Mostly at school districts is what we've noticed. A lot of school properties being renovated, maybe bonds being funded for remodels of schools, and the asbestos contractors are very busy, so that drives up prices. Relative to our scope, during review of this process, I also identified additional equipment that should be removed at this time. There's no better time to remove heavy equipment about the size of a small bus in some locations, that we just needed to get it out of there, and that adds to the cost because sometimes that needs to be subcontracted out to heavy machinery demo folks, because as located in the basement of the Grand Theater or backstage, it's very inaccessible. It has to be hand removed. So We propose that One Reef be accepted as the lowest responsive bidder, and I'm open to any questions you might have.
I'll add real quick, just for transparency, yes, we had budget 100,000. It came in at 237. The source of funding that we'd be using for this is ARPA. We had, as you recall, we budgeted $1 million for the Belford building. It came in at less than $600,000. So we have available funds via that in order to help move over to make this possible.
Is there any discussion?
The scope of work has been talked about with the Paris Grand Theater Project Group, and they're happy they'll accept the state that it ends up with, and it'll take over from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Dr. Joseph Portugal he's their lead spokesperson up for the board, and I invited him tonight. He couldn't be here tonight. He works for University of Texas, and so he couldn't be here tonight. But he was very pleased with what we've done so far. He wanted to pass on the board's thanks for this project. By the agreement, they would be responsible for the rehab of this project. So, but as we come to find out that it's easier to raise donations when you can see a nice clean product than you can actually tour through there versus, for those who've seen it, it's in very rough shape. So it's very hard to visualize the future with the way it is right now. So that's why we stepped this up a couple of years ago through our phase 1, now phase 2 process to help make the nonprofit's job, according to them, much more doable. So.
And one more comment I'd like to add. During the asbestos abatement prior to the Belford demolition, in the old shoe store addition, part of the building on the first floor, the asbestos contractor, which was different from here, but it's characteristic of the companies that I've ever seen, you could eat off of that floor when it was done. And of course they demoed right over it, but it was very spick and span. It's going to be a great product to show to the nonprofit here, take over, and show to prospective donors that there's a lot of potential and the building has great bones.
And another piece I add too is there is, as Tom mentioned earlier, there's a lot of excitement downtown, a lot of rehab going on. And since the city does own this building, it just feels right that we do our part with our own building. We're asking everyone else to take care of their buildings. It just feels right that we do ours as well and get it from getting into a worse condition.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, will I hear a motion?
I recommend that we authorize the city manager to sign the contract with One Reef LLC for asbestos hazardous material abatement for the Grand Theater.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. All right, motion carries 4-0. Item number 28, receive representation about the street mill and overlay projects. Discuss and authorize the city staff to proceed with the design and bidding for 2024 projects. Staff?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, very exciting item here. We've been working on this for over a year. As you recall, back in the 23-24 budget, we had an item in there on page 11 of the executive summary talking about street mill and overlay projects. As you recall, we have about $2.2 million in an existing bond set aside for streets. We can't use it for anything else. We only can use it for streets. And that project is now done, so this money is now available for other street work. We also set aside another $1 million in the budget just to help make that a bigger number, $3.2 million. We had a good year 2 years ago in revenue. We put some of that money towards a new fire truck, and now this portion of $1 million we're putting towards street mill and overlays. Again, as we saw in the West Paris town halls, as well as all over Paris, there is always a concern about street conditions. So with this, working with staff, I know we have Mr. Michael Wade, our street superintendent tonight, and our public works director, Michael Smith, here tonight. They can speak more to this if you have questions about these particular lists here. But they systematically went through our streets in town trying to identify roads in most need. Now with this, 3.2 sounds like a lot of money. This doesn't touch all of our streets to begin with. So we focused our effort on arterial roads. Again, the goal here trying to impact the most drivers we can with the money we have. So we look for streets on all four quadrants of town that we know to be heavier trafficked roads. Again, arterial being the type of roads that people tend to use to get from the residential street to their business and shops and so forth. Side note, as you recall, TxDOT is responsible for maintaining Bonham, Maine, Clarksville, and Lamar. Maybe leaving one or two out there as well. Jefferson Street as well. So you will not see them on this list here because those are TxDOT maintained roads. 20th Northeast is also another one. They maintain that one. So that's the typical arterial roads tend to get you to those main roads. So looking at the list here in your agenda memo, we identified a number of streets here. I'll go through them. We identified Graham Street, 0.5 miles of that, North Collegiate Drive, 0.9 miles of that, Fitzhugh Street, 0.7, 24th Street Southeast, 0.5, Pine Mill Road, 0.6 miles, 7th Street North Southwest, 0.1, and I'm going to come back to that one, Pine Mill Road, 0.3, 20th Street Southeast, 0.18, 12th Street Southeast, 0.6 miles, West Sherman Street, 0.2, 13th Street Northwest, 0.6, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, 0.2 miles, West Campbell Street, 0.4 miles, and West Center Street, 1.2 miles. Make sure I'm not missing any here. Okay, yep, I got them all. So, and you see in the list there's a dollar amount. We've done the best we can to identify a cost. We've talked to contractors in the area. These are estimates that we put together. We've refined it and refined it and refined it. This would be a 2-inch mill and overlay. There'll be some additional work. Some spots will require a little bit more than a 2-inch. That'll have to be kind of played out in design. But again, these are rough estimates here that we have for a total of about $3.29 million. So you see here we have a little bit more than we have budgeted. But you never know what the cost will be until you bid them. So they may come in under, may come in over. So the thought would be that we'd bid all of these, and then we would work together to identify the priorities of this ones if the prices came in above 3.2. And nothing to say that if it's a little over 3.2, we might be able to scrounge up some money to make that happen. And so. To go back to 7th Street Southwest, a little bit different here. This is south of the loop near the Cefco South Station. As you see in my memo, I talked about in there that the city, when the project first happened a few years ago, the city had not required them to rebuild 7th Street Southwest. That's something that we do require these days, but again, it was different management, different council at the time, a different focus. Today, we do enforce our codes. We try to put the cost on the taxpayers. We try to put it on the development as much as possible, reasonably possible. And so with this, we are now responsible for that street. But as you drive that street, the heavy truck traffic rips that street up all the time. And so we are constantly fixing it over and over. It's a major drain on our resources. And so with this, we did approach Cefco. It's very hard to, after the fact, make them come and fix and redo that road. They have, though, agreed, they recognize this is a problem. And they recognize that we can't sustain that. And it comes a point to where if we don't fix it, we may have to just close the road. Well, that road affects Chisholm ISD, affects other houses over there, so there's a lot of traffic impacted by that one road. And so working with Cefco, they've agreed to pay 50%. This would be this would be a full rebuild. So they pay 50% of that cost there. So we would recommend we do that along with these projects here. So that's just a summary of that. Some other things here, as you recall, back in October, the City Council approved an agreement with Garver Engineering to do some lead-based pipe inventory work. There's a federal law that says we have to replace those pipes within so many years. So they're going to be systematically going through town, identifying where lead pipes are. So if we proceed with all these projects here, we try to coordinate that, because the last thing I want to do is tear up a brand new road just to put in a lead pipe, fix a lead pipe in there, so pull it out. And so the goal here is, as we're designing these, and as we've asked Garver to focus on these streets here. And again, if the council changes the list, that's perfectly fine. We'll prioritize those in Garver's list. But the idea being they prioritize their inventory on those we've identified for this project, that we can then go in and replace the lead pipes before we do the mill and overlays. Let's see here. What else do I have here? These are engineer estimates, so it's all based on the bid will determine the actual cost. Our city engineer, Todd Mickey, would be doing the design for this. This would be about a 3 to 4 month process to design it, in which we would then bid it out. Let's see here. And again, we budgeted $3.2 million. There's a map included in your package that shows where these streets are located. We tried to, again, since we don't have enough money to touch every street in town, let alone the streets that we're working on, we had to try to focus on the worst spots. Again, we also, it's not effective to just piecemeal, to pick up here. So this would be long stretches of roads replaced to do it right. Now, this list is up to the council, so this is our recommendation. But obviously, the city council, you have seen concerns out there. You talk to citizens, and so the staff stands ready to add to the list, take away from the list, change the list, go back to the drawing board, whatever you see appropriate. Again, we tried to. There were a lot of streets that we had in here that we had to cut out because limited funds there. But with that, I'll answer any questions. Mr. Wade's here, Mr. Smith's here, Mr. Harris worked on this as well, and we'll do the best we can to answer your questions. But otherwise, the request would be that you authorize us to proceed with a list that we can start working towards bidding. The design, then bidding. So,
Any discussion?
What's the timeline on Garver Engineering doing a study on lead pipes?
Doug, can you speak to that, please?
Well, they're well into this project, but again, I've already provided those streets that are on the list that are in your packets tonight, and instructed them to prioritize those streets. So when it comes down to it, they'll actually should be able to fairly easily identify if the pipes in this list of streets have any lead-based components in them. So for the entire project, the completion date is September of next year, prior to the deadline. But again, these streets are going to be prioritized in this project with Garver. So we should have an answer pretty soon.
I also include some pictures in your packet there too. You drive the streets every day, you see this, but sometimes it just helps to see some pictures there as well.
Right, is there any further discussion? I think any street repair in the city of Paris will be pleasing to the citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could do everyone in front of their house, and so that's the request. I know we'll probably get some feedback about why not my street, why not this street, but we'll do the best we can to answer those. Again, we had to prioritize off of the greater good, given it costs a lot to do this.
If there's no further discussion, will I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the streets as presented.
All right, is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 29, discuss and act on 3 water line looping projects in the amount of approximately $507,936.96 to be funded by a $250,000 Loungehead project reimbursement ARPA funds, authorizing payment to the amount of $750 to RMC for services related to these projects, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Good evening, sir.
Looping water line is a means to accomplish the elimination of dead-end mains, which in returns help improve our water quality, improves flow, takes out the risk of water going stagnant, and reduces the dead-end mains that we have to flush all the time, so that manpower can be focused somewhere else. It also helps maintain water to the residents in case of leaks or anything like that. Keeps it a two-way feed going there. With that, city staff has identified 3 locations for your consideration of taking out the dead-end main. One, let's see what we got pulled up here. One is Pine Mill Road. It will be going from the loop to 42nd Northeast. That will be taking out a dead end on the 42nd behind Walmart, Castle Gate and all that. Help loop all that in there. Their second one will be the loop between South Collegiate and 6 Southeast. There's a big section there. We can put water line through there, which will put water in the PJC or Paris High area, south of town over there, helps everything boost pressure and stuff like that. And then our third one is the loop over by Campbell Soup. We're going to,
Kimberly Clark.
oh, Campbell Clark, I'm sorry, my apologies, to 19th right there. Extend that, that'll be a 12-inch on each side right there. Put a lot more pressure over there and help everything out. With that, our options are to approve the 3 waterline projects, authorize RMC to advertise these projects for bid, and authorize city manager to sign any documents related to the projects. Request additional information or deny the 3 water looping projects. Our recommendation is to approve all 3.
And with this, if you were to look at our map, if you look at the citywide water map, you see we have water line pockets, and so we go this direction, then we go this direction. So this is the linking, connecting them all, so that in case you lose water in one, you have a break in there, there's water feeding it from another direction. Again, as Mr. Smith said, that's adding volume, adding pressure. This also makes land more site ready. As you recall, the third one, Jing Stallings, we actually started that a year or 2 ago, but then we had to shift water lines to Lions Head because they were more immediate. They were developing. So this is to re-continue that project that we had to stop. And so they reimbursed us those funds, and so we have money there to help pay for those pipes to continue that project that we started. And I know in that particular project there, if you look at West Paris, west of town, the residential neighborhoods were on one dedicated line. Kimberly Clark was on one dedicated line. This provides redundancy so that in case it breaks, they don't lose water. The power plant, Kimberly Clark, they don't lose water that way. And so this is good redundancy, good flow, and also makes the land site ready for development. That's what all these 3 projects do is trying to ensure citizens and businesses have water during emergencies.
And it also gives them better water pressure.
Water pressure, water volume. We have exciting development in Southeast Paris for the Forsberg Estate project. It puts more water down that part of the area through that Paris High connection there. Now, I will say again, I'll say this, we had not budgeted for this, but again, we have ARPA funds available to make this happen. We looked at this kind of came about when we were looking at our street projects. We identified we should probably pull our water and sewer superintendent in to make sure that, again, if we have bad water lines, we don't want to put a new road over it just to have to dig it up again. So that sprung this. As well, for the last couple of years, we've been wanting to loop our entire system to the south side for a long time. Again, it makes the land site ready for development, and just adds that much added benefit to our current system.
Beneficial for the community.
Yep.
So that's great.
So these would be bid out, they wouldn't be done in-house, is that correct?
Yes, and so we have the RNC cost in here is Charles Edwards. He would be our third-party administrator. We've used him for all of our ARPA administration. His cost is $750 in order to. In fact, he actually did our last bidding for the water lines for the Jing Stallings Business Park and the west side there. So he's got the whole process together. It just takes it off of Mr. Harris, Mr. Smith, and it's just a turnkey for $750.
Now, the CIP department will be doing the work.
Okay. Big part, yes. I'm sorry, yes.
Charles will be doing the bids and everything, but our CI department will be installing everything.
Yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you, but that's a key part right here. So I'm ashamed I forgot about that. And so this is all very doable because we were blessed with a CIP department who actually can install water lines. So we save twice the amount of cost just in labor because it's just materials because our guys already exist on our budget, and this is what they do. They specialize in this, and they're very good at it. They're very fast at it. So, yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Are there a motion?
I move that we approve the 3 water line looping projects.
Sir, is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 30, consider and approve future events for the city council and our city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anybody have anything? I hear a motion and a second for adjournment. So moved.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned.